receiver who brought it in, pitched it back to Allen, who's going to go to the goal line, and get in! No! Spectacular touchdown!
Unbelievable!
Fakes left, now taken off, gonna run for it, he got it! And there he goes! Inside the 10, the 5! Oh, the play of the year in the NFL!
Unbelievable!
The 2024 Buffalo Bills won the AFC East in almost poetic fashion, pummeling a Californian team 35-10 in the middle of a Buffalo snowstorm. Not only did this make them the first team in 15 years to clinch their spot in the playoffs with 5 or more games remaining, but Josh Allen has taken over the MVP race in a late surge, confirming his status as one of the league's very best after a rocky 2023 campaign. And truth be told, there's a lot behind the Bills' success in 2024 that a lot of people aren't talking about. So in today's video, we're going to look back on what makes them click and has turned them into one of the favorites to make a run for the Super Bowl. Because truth be told, the Bills know exactly what they're doing. Now, in each of Sean McDermott's 7 years in charge, the Bills have seemed to be building in the right direction, inching closer and closer to getting a whiff of their first Super Bowl. As Josh Allen did mature, a trade for Stephon Diggs in 2020 seemed to have the offense sorted for greatness in the years to come. And I mean, 3 Pro Bowls and nearly 4,200 receiving yards later, and Diggs still had no silverware to show for his efforts, which reportedly put significant strain on his relationship with the organization, which began to show in 2023. And at the time too, with the Bills at 5-6 well into the season with a stagnant offense and an apparently regressing Josh Allen, calls for change came pouring in. And as a result, offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey was replaced by quarterback coach Joe Brady, which helped the Bills to a 5-0 run to clinch their 4th straight division title. And as we all know, kind of what has become the tradition now in the playoffs is the Bills got deep into the playoffs, they ran into Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs ended up beating them in the postseason last year, which kind of has become the trend now. And because of that too, it also sent them into the offseason with a significant amount of just uncertainty at a lot of spots on their team. Buffalo lost its star wideout after 4 productive but troubled years, trading Stephon Diggs along with 5th and 6th rounders to Houston for a 2025 second rounder in return. And I mean, honestly, not only was the haul underwhelming, but the Bills would take on a $31 million dead cap hit in the process, showing just how toxic the situation had truly become. Add to that the loss of Pro Bowl center Mitch Morse, who is the heart and soul of one of the finest offensive lines in the league, and it was beginning to feel like Buffalo was trying to close its own Super Bowl window on themselves. I mean, hell, even letting Gabe Davis kind of felt like symbolic in a way. Like, yeah, sure, you could say that he had been inconsistent, but the guy was responsible for some big time plays and core memories for the fan base, and only served to further deplete the wide receiver room once they let him go. GM Brandon Beane wasn't just cleaning house on offense, but also released veteran DBs Tre'Davious White and Jordan Poyer. And it was really becoming pretty clear that a new era was about to begin. And judging by the moves that they've made since then, the new era surprisingly hasn't had any plans to stop winning. That started with restructuring Josh Allen, Von Miller, and Dawson Knox's contracts to free up over $32 million in cap space, which allowed the team to extend their 3-time Pro Bowl tackle Deion Dawkins and second-team All-Pro corner Teron Johnson. They then re-signed Daquan Jones and AJ Epineza on the defensive line to go with Taylor Rapp and Cameron Lewis in the secondary. The biggest question mark that kind of was lingering with this team though was who was left in that wide receiver room, because Khalil Shakir was the only person that had carried over from the 2023 season. The veteran signings of Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins, and MVS were a good start, along with spending their first draft pick on Keon Coleman out of FSU. But filling the Diggs-shaped hole in this offense was going to be tough no matter what. Add to that the promotion of Bobby Babich from linebacker coach to defensive coordinator, and it seemed that there was no telling how the 2024 season would go in Buffalo. And hell, I mean, even hosting Arizona in week 1 sounded much easier than it really came out to be. Like, I mean, how hard could it really be for a team that had won their division 4 times in a row now to knock off a team that had barely gotten 4 wins the season prior? And well, I guess we all got the answer in week 1, as it appeared to be extremely hard. And I mean, you could cut them some slack since they had a pretty transformative offseason. The offense was still clearly figuring out its identity post Diggs, almost going into halftime down 17-3, if not for a last-second Josh Allen rushing score. The quarterback finally connected with his receivers in the 3rd quarter, getting the ball to Mac Hollins and Khalil Shakir in the end zone to go ahead in the third quarter. I mean, honestly, Arizona surprised many and kept it competitive in the fourth, though the Bills came out on top 34-28. James Cook stole the show in week 2 against Miami with his 3 total touchdowns, while the defense were the stars in week 3. They came up with a pick 6 courtesy of Jamarcus Ingram as they manhandled the Jaguars 47-10 at home. All season, Joe Brady has been pushing the mantra of everyone eats on the offense before the season began. And I mean, boy did those Bills feast on those lifeless Jags. Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, and Ty Johnson caught touchdowns, while James Cook and rookie running back Ray Davis got on the scoreboard as well. I mean, what really had seemed as a pretty triumphant win for just the entire team, especially the coaching staff, after they had just put in that mantra of everyone eats. A pretty humbling trip was waiting for them in Baltimore when they got there in week 4. The defense allowed a season-high 427 yards of total offense in a 35-10 loss. Derrick Henry was responsible for 199 of those yards and 2 of the scores, while Lamar Jackson dazzled in the face of a woeful Bills performance. Joe Brady's unit was not impressive at all, with a season-low 236 yards of total offense. And as worrisome as it was during the stretch, more of that awaited for them when they went to Houston to play the Texans in week 5. The Bills gave up a 67-yard passing touchdown to Nico Collins, despite Babbich's defensive philosophy placing a heavy emphasis on limiting explosive plays. It would prove pretty costly though in a 23-20 loss, where some questionable clock management and impotent offense from Buffalo left a bitter taste in Bills Mafia's mouth. And I mean, honestly, you could say that Josh Allen was certainly a part of the problem, as he just completed 30% of his passes. Stefon Diggs not only got his revenge, but led Houston in receiving that day as well, exchanging post-game glares with some of his former teammates. They got back to the winning ways the following week though, beating the Jets 23-20 in a close but fairly unconvincing victory. Rookie Ray Davis stole the show with 142 yards of total offense in the absence of Cook, while Knox and Hollins hauled in a score apiece and Allen rushed in another. Buffalo would then receive a huge boost before week 7 as they sent Cleveland a 2025 third-round pick and a 2026 7th-rounder in exchange for wide receiver Amari Cooper and a 2025 6th-round pick. And then I mean, just 5 days later, he suited up for a home game against Tennessee and caught a touchdown pass on just his second target in a Bills uniform. And one thing that I do want to point out is that something that really stands out on this play is that Josh Allen, yes, he audibles at the line of scrimmage using his hand signal, but then all the receivers apart from Cooper reciprocated. So then he turns to the rookie Keon Coleman to ask what it means, to which Coleman responds by pointing towards the end zone, and that's really all it took. And yes, I know that this probably did come against one of the worst, if not probably, they're not the worst, but one of the worst teams in the NFL. It really reciprocates and just kind of shows how just the Bills and their team are building around each other and having that thing of just being reliable on each other that they didn't have last year during Stefon Diggs' time there. I mean, even the coaching staff was talking about the difference in team culture in 2024, which could even be seen in their messaging with everyone eats mantra, but was never fully apparent until the 34-10 beatdown of Tennessee. 1 week later, the Bills put up 445 yards of total offense in Seattle to down the Seahawks 31-10. And although Josh Allen threw his first interception of 2024, he made sure the rest of the offense ate by tossing scores to Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, while James Cook stole the show again by rushing for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns on the night. The defense was also playing lights out, holding Geno Smith to no touchdown passes and a pick, alongside his second lowest passer rating of the season. And really, just as it seemed they were flying super high and really just above everybody, the Bills did appear to falter in a Week 9 game against Miami, where they won courtesy of a last-second field goal despite a significant drop-off in overall performance. The backsliding didn't really stop there though. With a sloppy away win in Indianapolis, the following week was not looking particularly promising either, as a pick 6 from Teron Johnson bailed out Josh Allen, who threw 2 interceptions, but joined James Cook with the touchdown on the ground in a 30-20 win without Keon Coleman or Amari Cooper. The defense's 4 turnovers carried Buffalo to victory by a margin much smaller than it ought to be, especially considering the monumental task that they had ahead of them in week 11, when they would have to break Kansas City's 9-game unbeaten streak to start 2024. And as we all know, hosting Kansas City doesn't really hold any fond memories for Bills Mafia. And given their trajectory by mid-November compared to just the Chiefs, who had been looked hot all season long, yes, I know they weren't super convincing, but they were still 9-0 at the time. It definitely looked like a lot more pain might have been in store for the Bills. Like, I mean, truly in many ways, this game, I think, honestly may define how the Bills' just whole season and just the outcome of their season is. And as we revisit this game specifically, Allen connected with Amari Cooper on his return to the lineup in the Bills' opening drive, helping them march downfield for James Cook to punch in a 3-yard rushing score. The Chiefs then did reply with one of their own, only for Buffalo to respond in kind with yet another long pass to Amari Cooper, setting up yet another rushing score for James Cook to give the Bills a 13-7 advantage. Buffalo got the ball back with a chance to extend the lead, only for Josh Allen to then toss an interception, and although they still managed to go into halftime with the lead, a 16-14 lead that be, given their history against the Chiefs, it was impossible for them not to rue those missed chances that they did have earlier in the game. It took until the fourth quarter though for Buffalo to finally get in the end zone again, this time Josh Allen connecting with Curtis Samuel for a 12-yard touchdown pass, only for Mahomes and company to bring the game to a 21-23 game after the following drive. And now yes, we've all seen this script written out before where the Bills hold a margin lead or a one-score lead over the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs drive down the field and basically win the game on something that's just improbable that nobody would have thought would have happened. But this game kind of seemed to have just a completely different feel even from just the start of it as well. Like there was a unity around this team that was almost willing them down the field despite staunch Kansas City defense. And after Ty Johnson failed to move the chains on a 3rd and 2 at the Kansas City 26, Josh Allen pulled off a season-defining run for the Bills.
Fakes left, now taken off, gonna run for it, he got it, and there he goes, inside the 10, the 5, oh, the play of the year in the NFL.
Unbelievable!
And then following a Terrell Bernard interception made it official, and the Bills were back in business, earning their revenge on the Chiefs for the loss they had suffered in the pit 9 months prior. I mean, honestly, there's just no better way to go into your bye than by beating one of your biggest rivals in the league, and then by doing it almost so commandingly as well, which is exactly what the Bills did. And then when we forward to the past week as well, the 49ers were visibly rattled in the snow, getting mauled by a Buffalo defense that forced 3 turnovers and held them to just 10 points. Josh Allen had a historic day on the other side of the ball, becoming the first player in NFL history to pass, run, and catch a touchdown in the same game, courtesy of a hook and ladder with Amari Cooper. I mean, even when the pair explained how organically the play came to them, it's tough to deny that this team's chemistry is reaching new heights.
Is that your favorite touchdown of your career? Can you take us through that play, kind of how it happened and the emotions after?
It's got to be up there. I wish he got credited for something there, an assist or a passing touchdown, but again, I kind of threw a bad ball, so I was just kind of chasing it. Was kind of tipped around. He made a heck of a catch. Yeah, I threw it. It was just kind of sticky hand, and I just kind of chased the ball just to be there. And we made eye contact, and
that's what it was. Yeah,
he just pitched it, and I had to go make a play. It was dope.
I just saw him. I figured he was over there because he wanted the ball, so I gave it to him.
The 35-10 win over San Francisco brought Buffalo to a 10-2 record for the first time since the 1991 season and clinched them their 5th consecutive division title. And right now they're on a 7-game win streak where in 6 of those games they've scored 30+ points. So really the question remains is what has started clicking for them? Well, I think undoubtedly on offense, Joe Brady's unit has largely stuck to their guns with the everyone eats mentality. There are 12 different players who have logged receiving touchdowns this season, 5 of which have 2 or more. And now, yes, while James Cook has been fantastic, Ray Davis and Ty Johnson have filled in admirably and played an important role in the side's success, with Johnson in particular being clutch on 3rd down. The running game has been allowed to flourish behind a revamped O-line, which solved the issue of finding a new center by shifting Connor McGurven over from left tackle, and he's been solid ever since. A balanced run-pass offense is going to be critical not only in establishing some consistency, but also managing the brutal weather conditions up in Buffalo. Josh Allen has averaged the 2nd best passer rating of his career and has been more clutch than ever, earning him legitimate MVP shouts from across the league. The defense has also grown into the season, as through 11 weeks they lead the NFL with the fewest explosive pass plays from 20+ yards allowed, according to the Buffalo News. And they've been doing exactly what their new defensive coordinator has been asking of them. And also, speaking of Bobby Babich, he has taken over defensive play calling from Sean McDermott to wonderful effect, evidently learning as the season goes on and making crucial tweaks throughout games to keep opposing offenses at bay. And as crazy as it sounds too, they're allowing 7.2 second half points on average, good for 2nd best in the league. They also rank top 10 in both yards and points allowed this season, while also being tied for the 2nd most takeaways in the league. Defensive end Gregory Rousseau has 15 tackles for loss in 2024, tied for 3rd best in the league, making the decision by Bean and company to pick up his 5th-year option looking absolutely genius. Add to that one of the most reliable returners in the league in Brandon Codrington, who was acquired this offseason via trade, and it's safe to say that the Bills' decision to give their roster a facelift has fully paid off. And as Josh Allen sees it, everything that they've done has served for the better of the team.
We got a little younger this offseason, and everybody wanted to write us off. We understood that, but I think the expectations were extremely low outside of the building, but inside this building with the guys that we we have in this locker room. We're so internally driven here that it doesn't matter what anybody else is going to say about us. We're going to go out there and try to play football the right way, and then play for each other. And I think if you look at just the total of the 53, and if you include the practice squad, all 75 guys in this locker room, we thoroughly enjoy being around each other. We thoroughly enjoy going out and playing with each other. We're hanging outside out the facility, so it's a pretty tight-knit bond.
I mean, given their current form and the games that lie ahead of them, it's not out of the realm of the possibilities that they really do take the 1 seed in the AFC off of the Chiefs, who are playing in a much tougher division. And I mean, honestly, if they do that, they would get to host the AFC Championship game and pull out a classic gritty win in Buffalo weather, as they did in their Week 12 game against the Niners. Like, I mean, hell, Josh Allen isn't known as the winter soldier for nothing. And if you want to see exactly what NFL players and even coaches think about Amon-Ra St. Brown, then click this video right here.